welcome back to part two of this episode, guys. If it sounds really abrupt to you, sorry for that. But we had something very impromptu planned for both ma'am and our dear friend Harman. So, since a very beautiful discussion about music was going on, so I was constantly reminded of Harman, who is also a very passionate learner of music. And I thought, what better thing to let Harman ask ma'am a few questions and learn from ma'am, because as ma'am mentioned, having a good guru is the key in excelling in this particular art.
Yes.
So now we will give this stage to Harman, and two music lovers are going to talk about music. I mean, two music learners. And Pawan and I might look like two odd people here, so please excuse us. You focus on the two people who are going to tell you, more things, more interesting things about classical music and the music we hear these days. Over to you, Harman.
Nice
Yeah,
to meet you,
thank
Harman.
you so much. Hello, ma'am. I just wanted to ask you about the role of Bollywood in transferring this classical music, which normal people do not attract easily. But yeah, Bollywood as a medium to transfer those beautiful classical songs like "Aoge Jab Tum Ho Sajna" and "Mora Piya Mujhse Bolat Nahi" and "Sakal Ban," all those songs. um, to normal people. Like, since Bollywood is a big trendsetter, Bollywood decides the fate of any genre running in the industry. Right now, we also know that Punjabi songs are more in trend.
Hmm.
They are not creating their own songs. Filhal, I'll move forward to my question later on. Can you please answer this question? The role of Bollywood in transferring classical music to normal people.
Sure. I think Bollywood is mainstream. Okay, so it reaches all Indians, right? It's a huge space, and with a lot of popularity, and it has a high entertainment value. Okay, so before this is present day Bollywood. So before this, the old when it comes to music, the old music like 70s 60s ke jo music they were very rag based. So they had a lot of emphasis on melody, originality of the compositions, the wo baat thi, and that is why they seem so evergreen, because there was a structure to a song, there was the elements of music in the song, we could identify rags in it, there was the singers had their their impact on the song, right? Whereas now it's kind of westernized and it's very dancey. Like you said, there are a lot of item songs that really work. Okay, so when I say work, in the sense people are enjoying that kind of music more these days. Okay, I'm not saying I'm not for or against anything. I enjoy every music the way it is, but the rag based music has somehow reduced. It is there here and there are very good beautiful songs, but I think it's what people are the mindset of people also has changed, with all this social media and all this, people have lost some patience overall. And I think these dancey numbers really suit them in some ways. They don't want anything more than that. They don't want to delve into wo sangeet kya hai, usme baat kya hai. I don't think people are having that much bandwidth emotionally and intellectually also. So I
Yeah.
think overall, because of this change in the overall, trends, and it's a global trend also, right? TikTok and all this. It's not just here. In anywhere, there is this standard kind of music that works. Even Korean pop, any kind of pop, dancey numbers, these are what works. So when all of this is just happening out there, our music, which is very intricate music, which is very beautiful, pretty, graceful music with a lot of depth, right? To be able to reach to a bunch of people who are relatively not that into to go deep, kind of has a disconnect, right? So there are one or two the songs like Aoge Jab Tum O Sajna, such a
Yeah.
pretty song. So
Mm.
ऐसे एक दो गाने आ जाते हैं. So I think um, Bollywood as such is a genre. Okay, now it has become kind of very hippie hip hop, and very lusty in some ways. A lot of lust focused songs, but it can be a medium in which you can introduce good music because of its reach.
Reach.
I think the reach is what it has now. That is pretty much all it has. So why not
Yeah.
make use of that, the positive,
Hmm.
side of Bollywood, that the reach. But then again, it's not one or two musicians or one or two, singers who can do this, right? It's a lot of collective energy that happens, and these beautiful elements of music or these sweet songs definitely become niche. Even if they do go mainstream, the popularity level of the dancey numbers always out surpasses these. So I think the nicheness will maintain has to, in a way, be maintained. If you start to want to become popular with beautiful music and this kind of mindset, I don't know, it might take time, right? So there has to be that authenticity that has to be maintained
Hmm.
while you are trying to go into Bollywood, because people's understanding plays a huge role and
Hmm.
people's acceptance plays a huge role. And we have to be very sensitive about how we are putting this music across to a larger audience.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's a kind of a challenge for young music lovers like us today who love the Indian classical music form. I don't know if it answered your question, but these are exactly the things that I think.
Just adding to what ma'am said, I feel it connecting it back to what ma'am was saying in the first episode. This they're trying to do this. I mean, introducing classical or the Hindustani music or the actual music basically into the modern music through fusions. Some of them, Harman, we were talking about, like some
Yeah.
combinations work, some don't. Some are like this Fanta Maggie sort of a thing, and some just work somehow. So I think one way is that, of course, like ma'am is saying, and of course, it's going to take a lot of time to be able to present informed fusion. Basically, we should know what is in that fusion to be able to go back and see what is original. Yeah. So Harman, you can add your
Arman, you
inputs.
can take over, then
Yeah.
we're going to ask the next question. Over to you. Go
Yeah.
ahead,
So
ask.
The guys,
adding to
excuse
what
Harman. I think he's a little also because he's first time podcasting with us, ma'am, and our audience. Please appreciate him for the kind of confidence he's showing. We literally pulled him impromptu from his sleep. Harman, take
Arman,
your time.
yeah,
sorry.
I think your question was great. I would love you to go ahead.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So yeah, adding to what ma'am said, we can recently see the song going trending on reels also. That song, I forgot its name. Sorry. Uh, Nisa, 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 dhani, 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 pada, 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 gama, pada, nisa. That song from Bhul Bhulaiya movie.
Okay.
What was that song, Lapreet?
I wish I could understand what you just did, but
He's referring to a song from.
Mere Dholna Sun. Yeah, the song was Mere
okay,
Dholna Sun.
Mere Dholna
Yeah,
Sun. Okay.
it is one of the best. No, not proper classical, but yeah, it includes major parts of classical music, sargams and alankars,
Mm,
and both sung by popular singers of Bollywood. One by Shreya Ghoshal, and then later on by Arijit Singh. So
mm,
I think frequently these kinds of songs, these classical songs with a classical touch, should be
correct.
introduced frequently. Rarely ये songs बहुत rare introduce होते हैं movies में. We can
Mm,
hardly name any 10 songs जो बॉलीवुड की किसी मूवीज में क्लासिकल फॉर्म में आए हैं. बट या आई थिंक कि दे शुड the music directors should put a force to introduce these songs frequently in the movies also, so that
mm,
those songs can connect with normal people as well.
mm,
Obviously modern music के साथ अगर कुछ होगा lyrics या बंदिश कुछ. Now we can also see in Coke Studio they are making beautiful songs. बंदिश बनाते हैं अच्छी अच्छी. We have examples of Malhar Jam and
mm,
Sakalban, and Chine Rumora Chen by Ustad Rashid Khan ji. So we have all those examples of a fusion, actually a
Mm,
fusion of classical and modern music.
yes, yes. In fact, why do you think they are so good? Why do you think they
Sorry.
are so? Why do you think this it appeals to us? Why do you think so?
Wait.
Why not? So what is that? What is that thing which makes it very beautiful? I think it's also the presentation. When you have a live performance and everybody's doing things perfectly with all the instrumentalists and vocalists, the perfection they achieve, it comes from years of practice, and that quality of consistent practice, training yourself to be disciplined about your music, only can get this kind of quality out, right? With auto tunes and fast beats, you can create a lot of passive aggressive good music, which Bollywood themes kind of cater to, right? But when it comes to, say, Coke Studio, they have a quality that they maintain. It's very beautiful, beautifully trained singers and their Riyaz shows, and the setup that they have, the ambience that they create. I think that adds to the classiness of the music also, right?
Right.
So if you have a scantily clad, person dancing to something and you're playing a classy music, I don't think it goes well together, right? So sometimes the context setting is also very crucial. And when Bollywood themes like Raja Maharajaon ke stories or something which is very regal, all those kind of themes can maybe add some value to the classism that Indian classical music inherently has. I would like to hear from all of you. What do you think about it?
I think I absolutely agree with you. In fact, there are times when I think, I see some people who are, for example, last night, we celebrated my birthday in a place and there was this live performance happening. That
Mm.
guy had an absolutely beautiful voice. And
Mm.
likewise, I feel for Harman because he sings really well. But then I sometimes feel people who still follow this norm of singing ethically and singing good things, learning the way traditional music should be learned, and
Mm.
after that they find themselves in this chaos where the industry is going somewhere else and some other kind of music is trending, which they are not able to relate with also, to be honest, as audience or as music lovers. So that is where I feel that what is going on in their head, how are they able to see any future in this career, and if yes, then what is the scope? I mean, it's a very wrong question to ask. I would say that what is the scope of the original music, that is the actual music of our country or the world. But then sometimes also it becomes very weird. It's a contradiction, a very weird paradox we are in, that wo jo original hai usme mera future hai, and
Mm.
that should not come in anyone's mind who is passionate
Mm.
about music, I feel. So that
Mm.
is also something, ma'am, I would really love you to address. What do you think is the scope? And young people like Harman and many others who are practicing music and they
Right.
absolutely love music, what is the way out for them, and how should they look? Should they get demotivated, or how should they look at it?
No, I think that's a very practical question. I really like that you asked this question. See, there is a way out and there is a way in.
Hmm.
I think Indian classical music is a complete way in, for sure, guaranteed. So you do it for, it's almost like a means to self-development in some ways, You gain a certain level of maturity, a certain level of patience, a certain level of classism in your personality. All that comes with the kind of music and the kind of journey it is to learn
Hmm.
classical music. I'm sure Harman agrees with that, right? So the way out is what is challenging, because out there is a whole different genre of people. Majority of them, right? Very
Right.
few like-minded ones. Of course, there are very, very lovely groups of people who are very passionate about this music, but they tend to be this niche groups of people, and you're lucky if you're part of that group. But in a large masses, classical music is not for large masses in any case. I don't think it has that quality in it, you know. But to be able to go to that scale,
Hmm.
right, is something we at Shota House are also very bullish about. क्यों नहीं हो सकता? kya hai which stops it? Is it you have to change mentality of people? Let's do that. If you want to change the way you're presenting something, let's do that. If you want to get the younger generation in, because by the time you're 5, 6 old, you're able to talk to them. After they're 10, you can't talk to them. If that is the thing, let's talk to 5, 6 year old. What is it? Why not? I think that is something that we are so confident about, interestingly. Because a lot of times people get discouraged. इसका कोई career नहीं बनने वाला. तो अपना गाना गाएगा और तो you'll have your training and everything. You'll perform here and there in a few places. But then what? Will it give you money? No. Anyway, artists, these days, that's a huge different topic altogether, right? Unless you are a superstar or, some extraordinary singer. But these days in our country, there is so much talent. वो एक अलग कैसे हो सकते हैं हम, right? But again, classical music is not driven like that. It's firstly, you have to go in. Okay, you have to feel the music. You have to feel the passion for the music. You have to train yourself and then give it to people, right? And you have to share the joy of learning. I think that is what we are missing out on. मैंने ये सीखा, आज मैंने ये सीखा, ये गा के बताते ये तान आ रहा है कि नहीं, गले से नहीं आ रहा है आज. This kind of ecosystem will kind of really help build that momentum, that there is a fairly larger audience that can appreciate this enthusiasm that you have, right? So you have to spread the enthusiasm. That's exactly what we are trying to do. We're just starting to do at Shrodha House, right? So ऐसे viral जैसे music नहीं आता आज एक कुछ है वो viral हो गया. That is not the quality of classical music. It doesn't have that. Viral आता है जाता भी है, आता है 10 दिन रहता है फिर nobody remembers, आज blue है पानी पानी, whatever, right? They are very catchy, but then again they also die out quite fast, and that's not the quality. Classical music here is for us to seep in, and it grows in you. There is no way you can take it out of your system once it's inside. And it's just about helping people getting it into their system in ways that are very creative and which are not necessarily require you to be peppy or too dancey or too Bollywoody, right? This is my take. And future, when it comes to future, you create your future. You know what you're doing. If you're confident, if you know that you love this music, like I love this music, I'm very confident about my love for the music, right? And all I want to do is give it out. So when I have that drive to give that love to everyone, paths will come to me. Let me tell you this by experience. I would never sit and craft a plan कि मुझे next ये करना है. I just want to give it to this bunch of people, and then I have my ways for it to happen. I will find out who does what. I will find out kiske paas kya hai. I'll get the resources. I will practice, and I will just, when I talk about it, I will talk about it with everything that I have. And people will receive it. There is no way you can go wrong with that, right? So that kind of conviction in you, whether you want to be a vocal musician or you want to be a teacher, which is a very underrated a profession today, right? You want to pass on the love for music to people is a huge thing to do in today's times. And the kind of needs we have for classical music propagation, right? So whatever it is that you choose, you just have to love what you're doing. It seems so cliche, but that is what it is. I have learned it out of experience. I have heard so much of all these people telling, oh, love what you do, be passionate. हाँ अभी कहाँ मतलब ठीक है सुनने में तो सब सही लग रहा है बट वो आना चाहिए वो आएगा कब आता है जब तुम बहुत कंसिस्टेंट होते हो वो कंसिस्टेंसी गलत हो ही नहीं सकती आज नहीं आएगा कल नहीं आएगा 10 years में नहीं आएगा 11th year you'll get it and when you get it you'll bloom and that is what I feel about my passion for giving the love for music to kids. This is my space. Yeah, can you see my kid? Yeah. So he always photobomb. He always video bombs. Yeah, I want to show them that. Yeah, you can cut this part, okay? There's some tiny birdie he has. Thank you.
I think a lot of special appearances in this podcast, very special one.
So yeah, so
I think,
career-wise,
ma'am,
you just have to be consistent.
I think
I
Herman
think
is sort of clearly inspired by what you've told him,
Motivated.
and I think he'll be out to
okay.
start off in his musical journey. And on that note, I think since we are running short of time, and we'll be having, and we'll definitely have one more session on something similar on this topic, and Herman will be definitely there, and I'm sure of that. I'll ensure that even if he doesn't have time, we'll try to ensure that we'll pull him in. So on that
But
note, I
thank
think
you,
this
ma'am.
was like
I'm
really interesting because we've
really
not spoken about music earlier on. This was like the first time we introduced this to
However,
our
I do
viewers.
have one complaint. Both of our singers are not performing because ma'am is recovering from a throat problem, from
Yeah,
a throat,
definitely. This time we'll have
and Harman
something
just
little.
needs a little more confidence. But we'll definitely take background music from both of these guys now and put it in this podcast itself, hopefully. A small clip, maybe towards the end. We can request them to record small bits and give it to us so we can put it at the end. But I think it was such a
Right.
wholesome episode. Harman, thank you so much for joining. Okay, thank you so much for
How was
adding
your
your
first
input.
podcast, Herman?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you, ma'am. You've been very kind. I've probably never met a person who has answered questions so gracefully and in such a whole manner. You answered every single thing so beautifully. And like I said before, there was no need to ask you follow up questions. It was a very a flow was there in the podcast, and from that itself we can make out how beautiful music and people attached to music are. They just go, it just flows. And thank you.
Right.
And you were mentioning about planting that interest in music in people, and Harman has definitely done that. He's changed my complete playlist and my interest in music. So you're on the right track, Harman. That's something I would like to tell you from here, from listening to ma'am. And we really hope a lot of success for both of you. Ma'am is already very, very successful, and we hope she passes on that to Harman as well. And thank you guys for listening to us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want a part 3, 4, 5 of this, please do drop your comments and stay tuned for the upcoming episodes.
See you
Thank
all
All
you
in
of
the
you
next
can
guys.
say
episode.
bye.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.